Hello and welcome. Today's video is going to be about awareness of substance use and abuse around children. I came across 3 stories that I found truly heartbreaking, and it is something that we hear about every day. It seems to be an everyday occurrence, and you are actively using substances. There are dangers that go along with it. You might think that you're being responsible with your substances, but the fatal truth is that most likely you're not. If you do experience addiction or substance abuse, I would just ask that you please get help. There is help out there. Unfortunately, I have a very close family member who died of substance abuse and overdose, and it was very traumatic to not only our family, but to their children. It is a lifelong battle for a lot of people. I don't view it as something that you can't get over. There is a fair use disclaimer up because I will be using some news articles. If you or someone you know do have an addiction to substances, I ask that you please seek out help. There is help available. And I know sometimes it feels like that it's a never-ending battle, but there is help available. You just have to reach out and you have to follow through with it. You know, I know it's hard, but the harder part is when your child dies because of your addiction. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get into this. The first video that I'm going to play is Fox 19 out of Cincinnati, Ohio.
A woman charged in connection with a 2-year-old's death was in court today.
The child died back in July, but Cincinnati police just arrested 21-year-old Bethany Miller-Williams yesterday.
Brittany Harry is live at the Hamilton County Justice Center downtown and has details on what happened in court.
Well, yeah, so according to the family, that 2-year-old is Bethany's daughter, Alayla. The family is devastated by this. They say that before her death, she was a happy, healthy child, and they say that they want justice for her. Meanwhile, our cameras were rolling this morning as Bethany showed up in court.
She was a loving, and first of all, she loved her mom the most, like the person who was supposed to protect her.
This is Bethany Miller-Williams being wheeled into court this morning. The 21-year-old was arraigned following her arrest on Thursday. This is video of her being booked into the Hamilton County Jail, where she's now being held on a $150,000 bond.
Bethany, she had all the resources set up for her so she would not be on this path. And some way, somehow steered off.
In July, Cincinnati police say they were called to a home on Brackenwoods Lane in Westwood for an unresponsive child. There, they say they found 2-year-old Alayla Bradley. The toddler was rushed to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. Court records show Alayla was exposed to fentanyl and xylazine, resulting in her death. Amy Helton is her great aunt. She says other adults were around at the time.
Everybody's time frame matches up, but everybody's stories are inconsistent.
Helton says while she's heard multiple different stories about what happened, what remains consistent is there was a delay in getting Alayla medical care. Helton says her niece was dead for hours before first responders were called. Now Williams is facing involuntary manslaughter and endangering children charges.
No amount of prison time is ever going to bring Ray back. And at the end, she's the one that's going to live with the guilt of this for the rest of her life. I just hope she gets the treatment that she needs.
And Williams is due back in court in 10 days. Of course, we'll continue to follow this case. For now, I'm reporting live downtown. Brittany Harry, Fox 19 Now.
This story was posted September 20th, 2024. It was updated again September 21st, 2024. Okay, CPD, which is Cincinnati Police Department, mother facing manslaughter charge for fentanyl-related death of her 2-year-old. This was posted one day previous to the video I just showed, September 19th, 2024. Cincinnati, a woman has been arrested and faces charges of involuntary manslaughter and endangering children after her 2-year-old child died from exposure to fentanyl and xylazine, which is a horse tranquilizer. Cincinnati police announced Thursday they arrested 21-year-old Bethany Miller-Williams for the July 29th death of her 2-year-old Alayla Bradley. Police said they responded to a home on Brackenwoods Lane on July 29th for an unresponsive child. The child was taken to Children's Hospital and later pronounced dead. Bradley's death was ruled a homicide by the Hamilton County Coroner's Office on September 17th, and a warrant was issued for Miller-Williams' arrest. She was booked into the Hamilton County Justice Center Thursday morning. Court documents say Miller-Williams put Bradley at risk by facilitating an environment which exposed Bradley to lethal effects of fentanyl and xylazine, resulting in her death. While xylazine is not an illegal substance in Ohio, it is an animal tranquilizer that is not approved for use in humans. According to the Drug Enforcement Agency, it can slow heart rates and cause lung failure, but the substance has been used in narcotics mixtures involving heroin and fentanyl. In court Friday morning, a judge ruled Miller-Williams be held on a $150,000 bond. When Bethany Williams discovered that her 2-year-old daughter had been playing with fentanyl powder, she put the child in a crib and went to sleep rather than seeking help, prosecutors said. Williams, 22, was sentenced on July 9th, 2025 by Hamilton County Common Pleas. She pled guilty in June to involuntary manslaughter, endangering children, and tampering with evidence. As part of the plea agreement, prosecutors dismissed 2 other charges that she was facing. Prosecutors said that Williams' daughter, Alayla Bradley, likely died very soon after ingesting fentanyl while at her mother's Westwood apartment on July 29, 2024. Toxicology results showed the child had extremely lethal concentrates of fentanyl and other compounds in her blood. After Williams awoke at 9 p.m., she did not call 911 for another 2 hours when she claimed to have found Alayla not breathing, prosecutors said. The girl was pronounced dead at Cincinnati Children's. In all likelihood, the baby died by putting her fingers in her mouth in the crib, covered with fentanyl, and if her hands had simply been washed, that's all it would have taken, said Hamilton County Assistant Prosecutor Don Gered. The baby might still be alive today. Prosecutors said that before police arrived at the apartment, Williams flushed fentanyl down the toilet. Although she admitted to multiple people that she had known about the fentanyl exposure several hours before the child's death, prosecutors said Williams gave misleading statements to police to conceal her culpability. Bradley Fox, Williams' attorney, said that she is remorseful and has accepted responsibility for the young girl's death. This is something that Bethany is going to have to live with for the rest of her life, Fox said. In a pre-sentence court filing, Fox said Williams was prescribed opioids during a hospital visit at 19 years old. He added that she had become addicted to the medication. She eventually moved to fentanyl. He said the addiction caused Williams to neglect the safety of her child. I'm not making excuses, but my drug addiction resulted in the death of my beautiful child, Williams said in a tearful statement to the judge. And this is Bethany right here, being led out of the courtroom after sentencing in Hamilton County Common Pleas Court. I wish I could bring my child back, she said. I would give my own life for hers in an instant. Goring said that while Williams did accept responsibility in the end, that clearly was not done up front. Before handing down the sentence, Goring read aloud letters that had been submitted by Williams and the girl's family. Now we live every day with a hole in our heart, Alayla's father wrote to the court. While Williams' minimum prison term is 6 years, she could spend as many as 9 years behind bars due to a state law that says the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction can extend someone's sentence based on conduct while in prison. This is another article that I came across on Local 12. This was posted on July 9th, 2025. Cincinnati mother gets prison time for drug death of her toddler. A Westwood mother was sentenced to 6 to 9 years in prison for her 2-year-old daughter's drug death. Bethany Miller-Williams was arrested last September following the July death of Alayla Bradley. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office determined the toddler's death was a homicide. She had been exposed to fentanyl and xylazine. According to court papers, Miller-Williams learned her daughter had been playing with her fentanyl stash but did not get help. Miller-Williams was initially charged with involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, possession of the drug, and child endangering charges. The involuntary manslaughter and possession of the drug were dropped. There's a few comments down here at the bottom of the article. One person said they shouldn't have dropped the involuntary manslaughter or the possession charge. She definitely deserves more time, especially since she knew her baby got into the drugs and didn't call for paramedics immediately. Another person said, I say it will be another 30 years before she hits rock bottom. And to be honest with you, I don't mean to be judgmental, but the truth is that a lot of times, oftentimes, people just don't learn. And it comes to death of a child, and not only does the child lose their life, the adult in a situation loses what's left of their life, and it's horrible. This is her inmate information in Hamilton County Sheriff Jail, which she is no longer a part of. I believe she's been sentenced and has been placed in the Ohio prison system. She pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And then this is another news article. I'm just going to let this go ahead and play.
Has been arrested in connection to the death of her 2-year-old daughter.
So court documents we looked through say this child was exposed to the deadly drug fentanyl. WLWT News 5's Rachel Hersheimer talked with the toddler's family tonight before going out on that breaking news earlier.
Infectious laughter and a contagious smile. This is how Katie Morris is remembering 2-year-old Alayla Bradley. Alayla is her boyfriend's child.
She was always laughing, always smiling, just so happy.
On July 29th, Cincinnati police were called to an apartment on Brackenwoods Lane in Westwood for an unresponsive child.
Respond for cardiac arrest.
Police tell us Alayla was taken to Children's Hospital where she later died. On Tuesday, the Hamilton County Coroner's Office ruled Alayla's death a homicide. And today, her mother, 21-year-old Bethany Miller-Williams, was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter and endangering children. The affidavit alleges Alayla was exposed to the lethal effects of fentanyl and xylazine, resulting in her death.
It's so sad. Like, it didn't have to happen at all.
It's a loss Katie says she's still processing as she comes to terms with what happened to a baby she grew to love.
We're just devastated that we can't be there to raise her anymore. Like, it all got taken away from us for no reason.
Alayla's father said in a statement to WLWT in part, "We want everyone to know we are devastated over the whole situation, and we want justice for Alayla. She was the happiest baby and the smartest little girl." Rachel Hersheimer, WLWT News 5.
Bethany Miller-Williams is now scheduled to face the judge tomorrow morning for her arraignment.
So again, what a beautiful little child. And I really do hope that Bethany gets the help that she needs. I hope that she gets the rehabilitation that she needs and that she pays it forward in some way, shape, or form. This is Hamilton County Clerk of Courts, and this is Bethany Williams' case summary. She was charged with voluntary manslaughter, and it was dismissed. Possession of fentanyl, also dismissed. Involuntary manslaughter, and she's been remanded to Department of Corrections on that, as well as endangering a child and tampering with evidence. This is an article that I came across. It is multiple arrests linked to fentanyl incidents. This was posted September 20th, 2024. In Claremont, New Hampshire, police administered Narcan to a 9-month-old baby suspected of overdosing on fentanyl, with charges pending against an adult present. In Yakima, Washington, a second person has been implicated in providing fentanyl that led to the death of Miranda Collison in 2023. In Cincinnati, Ohio, Bethany Miller-Williams faces charges of involuntary manslaughter after a 2-year-old died from exposure to fentanyl and xylazine. In Morgan County, Alabama, Haley Crane was arrested for chemical endangerment of a child after giving birth to a baby who tested positive for multiple drugs including fentanyl. Lastly, in Jackson County, Ohio, Kathy L. Rayner was charged with conspiracy to commit murder for allegedly seeking fentanyl to kill a man that she lived with. Key points. The Claremont police emphasized the urgent nature of the situation, stating, "The quick response of our officers likely saved the child's life." In the case of Miranda Coulson, text messages revealed her concerns about the authenticity of the pills, as she stated, "Those scare me. I don't want to die." According to court documents, Miller-Williams was accused of creating an environment that exposed her child to drugs, leading to the child's death, which was ruled a homicide by the coroner's office. Haley Crane, the mother arrested in Morgan County, was charged after her newborn tested positive for multiple drugs, raising serious concerns about prenatal exposure to substances. Kathy L. Rayner's alleged conspiracy to commit murder involved seeking fentanyl to harm a man she lived with, highlighting the extreme lengths individuals may go to in connection with the drug. This article goes on to say fentanyl is extremely potent synthetic opioid for infants and young children. Even a small amount can lead to respiratory distress or death, as their bodies are similar and less capable of processing the drug. In adults, the effects can range from pain relief to sedation, but overdoses can result in respiratory failure leading to death. The variability in reaction is due to the differences in body mass, metabolism, and the presence of other health conditions. The next story is out of Vancouver, Washington.
Mother who was found guilty in the fentanyl death of her 21-month-old daughter has learned her fate in court. Catherine Richards will spend the next 7.5 years in prison. Back in April, a jury found her guilty of first-degree manslaughter. Her daughter was found dead in her crib back in March of 2024. She tested positive for both fentanyl and Narcan. Richards says she gave the child Narcan because a friend had been smoking fentanyl nearby. She says she did not use the drugs herself. However, that friend later told police that was a lie and that they were both smoking fentanyl that day. A jury later agreed.
This article is really short. A Vancouver woman has been sentenced to prison for the fentanyl overdose death of her daughter. Catherine Richards, 39, was sentenced Tuesday to 7.5 years in prison. Richards was found guilty of first-degree manslaughter on April 24th in connection with the death of her 21-month-old daughter. Court documents state the toddler was found dead in her crib in late March 2024. She tested positive for both fentanyl and Narcan. Richards says that she gave the toddler Narcan because a friend had been smoking fentanyl nearby. Richards claims she didn't use fentanyl herself, but according to court documents, the friend later told police that was a lie, and they were both smoking fentanyl. Unfortunately, with a lot of these stories comes with a lot of lies, and the unfortunate truth is that a lot of addicts will cover up their use and their addiction and do not take responsibility until they are forced to. This is another article posted of Portland, Oregon. A Vancouver mother was arrested Tuesday and faces manslaughter charge in connection to the death of her baby after an autopsy revealed the 21-month-old tested positive for fentanyl. This, of course, was posted before she was sentenced to prison. Catherine Richards, 38, appeared virtually in Clark County Court on Wednesday, pleading not guilty after an autopsy found fentanyl and Narcan in her toddler's system. "I wish my daughter no harm, but I believe Ruth deserves justice and that Katie is currently using and will kill herself or run if you grant her bail." According to court documents, the incident happened March 26, 2024, when Richards found the baby unresponsive in its crib and called 911. While the baby tested positive for fentanyl, the Clark County Medical Examiner's Office told KOIN 6 News they will publicly release the baby's cause of death at a later time. Neighbors said they are heartbroken, claiming Richards told them the toddler suffocated the night this happened. Penny Saborin recalled consoling Richards after officials removed the baby from the home. Katie said that she had lost her baby. She said she stopped breathing. She was hysterical. Probable cause documents noted a roommate had been staying in the basement of the family's home for a week, where the arresting officer said he found meth and drug paraphernalia that appeared to be recently used. During the investigation, Richards allegedly told the officer she administered naloxone and that the roommate was smoking something off of foil the day before the baby's death, according to court documents. Richards also denied being a fentanyl user. However, the roommate disputed the claim, court documents state. She said she's been clean and sober all this time, and then the article came out and said that she wasn't. I was just like, wow, how could you lie about something like that and put your daughter in such danger? According to Vancouver Police Department, the investigation into the baby's death was completed on May 24th. Months later, on September 6th, detectives were contacted by a member of Richard's family who had concerns she planned to flee the area before she was charged because another family member had bought her a plane ticket. VPD said they were able to get an arrest warrant, noting she was taken into police custody on Tuesday outside of her home on Z Street. She really needs to get clean and sober, but that's going to be something she has to live with for the rest of her life, Saborin added. I couldn't imagine that. I think no jail would ever take that away from her or any of that pain. According to Clark County District Attorney's Office, Richard's bail is currently set at $500,000. However, the court is open to allowing her to spend in-time treatment instead of jail as she awaits trial. Richard's next hearing is scheduled October 25th, and a trial has been set for November 4th. This is Kathleen Marie Richards right here. She appears in court via video Wednesday, September 11th, 2024, with her attorney. She pled not guilty to manslaughter. And this is her daughter, the poor little baby girl that lost her life. It's so sad. These little babies just so unprotected. This is KATU2 ABC. Clark County Medical Examiner confirms toddler death cause was fentanyl. This was posted September 17th, 2024. This is a beautiful little baby girl. Again, Vancouver, Washington. Ruth Richards died on March 25th. She was 21 months old. The child's mother, Catherine Richards, has been charged with manslaughter. It says here that Richards pled not guilty. I'm sorry, but when you expose your child to those types of substances and you plead not guilty, I find it disturbing that parents have these illicit substances, dangerous substances around their children, and then something horrible happens, their child dies, and they actually have the audacity to claim not guilty. This is what I was able to find in way of her being in custody. Catherine Marie Richards, she's being held at Washington Corrections Center for Women. I believe she was given 7 years. This is the third story that I was able to come across. This is in, I want to say it's pronounced Ocula. So this is out of Florida. This was May 2nd, 2024. Ocala, on Wednesday, May 2nd, the Marion County Sheriff's Office arrested 48-year-old Daniel Brady Miller and Kelly Nicole Starling on one count of aggravated manslaughter of a child. 2 months earlier, March 1st, 2024, 15-month-old Daltin Miller was found unresponsive inside a residence located in the 1400 block of Northeast 28th Lane in Ocala. On that day, around 4:15 p.m., MCSO deputies and Marion County Fire Rescue personnel responded to the home. Shortly after MCFR arrived on scene, Dalton was pronounced deceased. And that's the little boy right there. Just cute as a little button. He is a doll. An investigation was launched by the sheriff's office, and a detective discovered that Daltin had been removed from his parents' custody at birth, since both Miller and Starling had tested positive for illicit drugs in their systems. According to group administrators and members of the social media group entitled Justice for Daltin Lee Miller, Daltin has been in custody of his biological aunt and uncle since he was born. A few weeks before the fatal overdose on February 9th, Miller was granted custody of Daltin. The sheriff's office stated that under the custody agreement, Starling was required to leave the home due to her history of drug use. Detectives learned that on February 27th, Starling returned to the residence. Miller and Starling told investigators that Daltin had been sick and congested and the child was having difficulty sleeping. On the day of the fatal overdose, Miller and Starling told investigators that they had been sleeping, and they noticed Daltin was not breathing shortly before calling 911. The interior of the home was searched by detectives and forensic crime scene technicians. During that search, a black pouch containing drug paraphernalia and a powdery substance was located in the room where Daltin had died. The substance, which was in an easily accessible area, tested positive for fentanyl, according to MCSO. While Miller and Starling both denied using drugs recently, MCSO stated that they refused to provide urine sample and a drug screening. In April, the medical examiner determined that Dalton's cause of death was acute toxicity due to the combined effects of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and xylazine, which is commonly added to fentanyl to enhance its effects, referred to as tranq. The tranquilizer is used in the veterinarian field for livestock, including horses. A significant amount of drugs was also found in Dalton's blood and liver, indicating that the drugs were directly ingested, according to the sheriff's office. After a warrant was issued, Miller and Starling were located at their home on Wednesday, May 1st. They were arrested and transported to Marion County Jail, where they are currently being held without bond. Miller and Starling have both been charged with aggravated manslaughter of a child. In addition, Miller has also been charged with possession of a controlled substance without a prescription. A court date has not yet been set. This is an article posted by the Miami Herald. This was posted May 3rd, 2024. Toddler dies from overdose 3 weeks after return to parental custody, Florida cops say. Nearly 3 weeks after a 15-month-old child was returned to parental custody, Florida authorities said. An investigation has led to manslaughter charges against his parents, 37-year-old Kelly Starling and 48-year-old Daniel Miller. Daltin Lee Miller came into this world with drugs already in his system and was removed from his parents' custody for over a year, Lieutenant Paul Bloom with the Marion County Sheriff's Office said in a news conference. February 9th, Daltin was returned to his father's custody on the condition that his mother leave the residence due to her use of drugs, but she came back home a few weeks later, deputies said. Then, Daltin started getting sick, his parents said. They told investigators their son had been congested and wasn't sleeping well. Then on March 1st, he stopped breathing, and they called 911. Daltin was pronounced dead at home in Akola. This is posted May 2nd, 2024. Boy, 15 months, died after ingesting drugs. Parents charged with aggravated manslaughter. A man and woman have been arrested on charges of aggravated manslaughter of a child in connection with the drug-related death of their 15-month-old son. County Judge Tommy Thompson on Thursday ruled that Kelly Nicole Starling, 37, and Daniel Brady Miller, 48, will be held without bail. Assistant State Attorney Yaveth Parodi said her office will seek pretrial detention for both defendants. The judge told both defendants not to have any contact with anyone younger than 18. Their next court dates will be in June. Starling and Miller both need public defenders. To avoid a conflict, one defendant likely will be represented by the Office of Criminal Conflict and Civil Regional Counsel. it was discovered that Starling had returned to the residence February 27th to help the child's father take care of their son. A family care manager did a home check on the same day, and the child was sick. The father told the official he was going to take his son to the doctor. Dalton's father told the detective that the child's mother had been staying at the residence from February 27th until March 1st, the day they called 911 for help. The victim's father said he took his son to the doctor on February 29th and was given amoxicillin and a breathing nebulizer to treat the boy. That night, the man said his son had trouble sleeping, and he and the boy's mother were in the bed with their son. He said he took turns caring for their son. He said Starling woke him up on March 1st, telling him that she didn't know if Dalton was breathing. Realizing his son was not breathing, he called 911. Although he has a history of drug use, the child's father said he wasn't using drugs at that time. The detective interviewed Starling. She said even though she's not allowed to be at the home, she went there on March 1st to help her son's father take care of their child. She said her son was up for most of the night and had difficulty breathing. Starling said she eventually fell asleep. She told the detective she was not using drugs at the time, though she had been a drug user in the past. When processing the scene, sheriff's officials recovered drugs in the room where Dalton died. The child's parents declined to give a urine test for a drug screening. Interviewing family members, the detective was told both Miller and Starling were current drug users. One family member said the boy had previously taken amoxicillin and he was fine. The detective was told the couple used drugs, including a horse tranquilizer. On April 22nd, the detective heard from the medical examiner's office the child's cause of death was acute toxicity due to the combined effects of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and xylazine. The manner of death was listed as homicide. A doctor told the detective that the child had a significant amount of drugs in his blood and liver. Tests indicate the drugs had been ingested by the child. At a press conference held at the Marion County Sheriff's Office Thursday morning, Lieutenant Paul Bloom joined the detectives Daniel Pender and Miller and told the media his agency is glad to see when justice catches up to criminals. Bloom gave an overview of the case and what led them to arrest Dalton's mother and father. The supervisor said when the child's father was arrested, he had fentanyl in his possession. The lieutenant thanked the detectives for their hard work for not giving up until there was an arrest. He said drug use is not a victimless crime. Users are not only hurting themselves, but others also. This is a tragedy, Bloom said. We knew we did the right thing. This is Fox 35. This was posted May 2nd, 2024. Florida couple arrested after 15-month-old dies from fentanyl meth overdose.
15-month-old Daltin Miller died of a drug overdose, and deputies say the toddler had several drugs in his system, including fentanyl.
Dalton died 2 months ago, but his parents were just arrested today. And the father just got custody back on the condition that the mother would not have any contact with the baby. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger is live in Ocala. So, Marie, deputies say the baby was able to eat the drugs because his parents left them out.
Hi, Luann. The house behind me is where the Marion County Sheriff's Office says 15-month-old Daltin Miller died of a drug overdose. We spoke with some of his family and family friends who said they had been trying to keep him away from that house. They lost that fight, and Dalton lost his life. The family friend we spoke with said she is overjoyed that his parents, her friends, have now been arrested for this. This is Daltin Miller. The 15-month-old had spent the majority of his life living with his aunt. He'd been separated from his biological parents when he came out of the womb with drugs already in his system.
And it just serves as a strong reminder to those that are involved in drugs that you're not just hurting yourself. There are victims to this.
In February, the baby boy was allowed to go back to live with his father. He only made it 15 days before his parents found him unresponsive, and doctors found fentanyl, methamphetamine, and a horse tranquilizer called xylazine in his system.
It's devastating. It's heartbreaking.
The little boy's family members and family friends are in uproar. They'd begged the courts not to allow the little boy back into his parents' house.
I hate to say it, but I do feel it was murder because the biological parents have significant history of drug abuse.
48-year-old Daniel Miller and 37-year-old Kelly Starling both have lengthy criminal histories, a lot of it involving drug use. And Miller had just been arrested last August accused of using a stolen credit card. But 6 months later, deputies say Miller regained custody of Dalton. That was on the condition that the boy's mother stay away, but that didn't happen.
But the mere fact that Dalton was in a house where he had capable of reaching to get horse tranquilizers and fentanyl, they're crushed. They're absolutely crushed right now.
Now the Marion County Sheriff's Office says the little boy's parents are facing charges of aggravated manslaughter for Dalton's death. They're being held at the jail on no bond.
Frankly, we don't want them out. They have no reason to be out there carrying around fentanyl, not even worried about killing their own child. So we don't want them on our streets.
The family friend we spoke with said she wants those parents to see life in prison. Live in Ocala, Marie Edinger, Fox 35 News.
So maybe it's harsh for me to say this, but I really have next to no sympathy for parents like this that put their children in danger without any regard whatsoever. It is disgusting, it is disgraceful, and it's very irresponsible. And I understand the woes of being addicted and fighting that battle. I get it. Like I said, I have a family member very close to me who passed away of addiction overdose. It is very sad. It's so detrimental to everyone that they leave behind. And for parents that put their young children who don't have a choice, who can't walk away, who don't understand the dangers of what's laying out on the coffee table or what's mommy and daddy doing. And, when they see mommy and daddy doing it, they're going to want to do it too. They think it's candy, or they have no idea the dangers. The worst part about it is it happens every day, and it's going to continue to happen every day because sadly most addicts are irresponsible, and this is the sad result. This is Kelly Nicole Starling. She is incarcerated as of right now, awaiting court proceedings. She's being charged with the aggravated homicide, negligence, and manslaughter of a child. Her next court date is August 26th, 2025. She does have a bond of $500,000. This is Daniel Brady Miller. He is in custody, and he has several charges. And these are recent charges. April 26th, 2025, theft of a credit card. Again, same date, April 26th, 2025, fraudulent use of a credit card 2 or more times. And then down here, he's got court coming up, August 26th, 2025, same day as Kelly. His next charge is the same as Kelly, aggravated homicide, negligence, or manslaughter of a child. Again, he has court coming up August 26, 2025. And he also has down here possession of drugs, possession of fentanyl. Again, court August 26th, 2025. And he does have, looks like here, a $5,000 bond. I'm not sure why the bond amount is different for the two of them. I do have this written down, and I will try to keep track of it when it does come to court next month. The hotline for emergency substance abuse help, 1-800-662-4357. There are facilities near you. There are facilities that can get you help. There is resources out there. It is extremely sad. Addiction is such a sad path to go on. And my heart goes out to somebody who is addicted and trying to get help, and trying to get the help for their children, for their family, for themselves. A lot of times I tell people, when I'm talking about this subject with people, I say, Think back to your childhood, what led you down the path of addiction. And oftentimes it's, I had a horrible childhood, or I was abused, or, I grew up around it, and things like that. And at some point, we all have to take accountability and decide that we're going to make a better place for our children. We're going to be a better parent for our children. And sometimes that means stepping outside of that comfort zone and getting the help that you truly need. To be honest, this is only 3 stories, and the list was endless of how many children die of exposure. And oftentimes parents don't realize that they're leaving it out available to their young children. Oftentimes parents don't realize that it's coming out, when they're sweating, it's coming out of their sweat glands and their pores, and they've got it on their skin. They may have it on their clothing, but may be left behind on a table where a toy is put down or a binky is put down. And oftentimes they're just way too high to be paying attention. I always say, I don't judge a person by how they look or where they come from or their culture, but I do judge people based on their actions and their choices, because it does matter. And in order for me to put myself and my children around somebody safe, I have to make a good judgment call when it comes to those people. Again, I am making this video more for awareness, not to judge people or knock somebody for an addiction. This video is more about bringing it to the light, because oftentimes it is not talked about. It is not brought to the forefront, because it is sad and it is heartbreaking when things like this happen. Again, the number for substance abuse help and mental help is 1-800-662-HELP 4357. Thank you for watching, and like, share, and subscribe.